Advantage of the United States, which a lot of countries do, including our allies. Our allies, in many cases, are worse than our enemies in this, having to do with trade. And this has been going along. That's why we have a $36 trillion amount of money that we owe. We owe $36 trillion, but that'll come down rapidly. Likewise, provisions will be made for non-monetary tariffs, and a non-monetary, that's where they charge and they do things that aren't, there's no dollar amount, but they make it impossible for you to do business. They do tests on cars, like dropping a bowling ball on the hood of a car, and if the hood doesn't withstand it, which no hood would except for an army tank, then they say, I'm sorry, you can't sell your car into a certain country. That's a non-monetary tariff. So this is in order to take economic advantage. Likewise, the provisions for the non-monetary tariffs and trade barriers that some countries charge, and most countries, many countries have something to that effect in order to keep our product out of their domain, or if they do not even let the U.S. businesses operate. So in some countries, they just won't let us even operate there. They charge us a lot, but they won't even let us go in. And we have many of them. And what our Secretary of Commerce, standing right behind me, Howard Lutnick, what he's going to be doing is he's going to come up with a number that's an equivalent number to that. But in many countries, not too many, but quite a few, they don't let us do business. They effectively don't let us do business. So we're going to put a number on that that is a fair number. We're able to accurately determine the cost of these non-monetary trade barriers, and we'll be able to do that very accurately. Okay? It's fair to all. No other country can complain, and in some cases, if a country feels that the United States would be getting too high a tariff, all they have to do is reduce or terminate their tariff against us, in which case we're going to pay the same thing. There is no tariff. So if they have a tariff and then they complain that this is too high, all they have to do is reduce their tariff or not charge it. I think there'll be certain countries, it's already happened. I believe I heard that the EU today or yesterday lowered the tariff on their cars to 2.5% because that's what we charge. And they lowered it from 10%, but it was really much higher than 10%. But 10% to 2.5, that's already happened. That's a big win. We've been after that to happen for many years, but it never happened, but nobody did anything about it, sitting in this lovely chair. So there are no tariffs if you manufacture or build your product in the United States. So if you build your product in the United States, there are no tariffs, nothing. You don't have to worry about it. It doesn't exist. A lot of companies will come back to the United States to build their product, make their product in the United States, because there will be no tariff, nothing. For many years, the U.S. has been treated unfairly by other countries, both friend and foe. This system will immediately bring fairness and prosperity back into the previously complex and unfair system of trade. We had a very unfair system to us. Everybody took advantage of the United States, and we paid a big price for it. America has helped many countries throughout the years at great financial cost. It is now time that these countries remember what we've done for them and treat us fairly. We want a level playing field for all American workers. We want a level playing field for the United States of America. I've instructed my Secretary of State, my Secretary of Commerce, Secretary of the Treasury, and the United States Trade Representative to do all the necessary work to deliver reciprocity, in other words, reciprocal reciprocity to our system of trade. So we're going to have a reciprocal tax. Whatever they charge, we charge. If they don't let us in, we're going to determine a value for that. But overall, it's going to be a very simple system. Whatever they charge, we charge. So nobody can complain. I don't think anybody can complain. And I'm going to sign this. And the numbers are going to be very fair, but staggering. They're going to be large, but very fair. And this should have been done years ago. And I did it in a different form with tariffs and taxes on China. We took in hundreds of billions of dollars. No other president, as you know, ever took in 10 cents. But that was a few countries. That wasn't what we're doing now. Now we're doing it with every country. So this is every country. And essentially, when they treat us fairly, we treat them fairly. It's a very fair way of doing it. And I don't know that it's ever been done before, but that's the way. I'd like to ask Secretary of Commerce to say a few words, please, Howard.
So reciprocal tariffs sound fair, but when you understand how brutally unfair the world's trading has been since we opened ourselves up after World War II, right? We tried to export the power of our economy to rebuild the world. And what happened since then is everyone else has taken advantage of us. Some countries, like the VAT that the president spoke about, 20% on everything we sell, just casually. And when they sell to us, of course, they drop that 20 right away. So it's sort of an export subsidy, if you will. So we are going to address each country one by one. But here's the key. They'll get an invitation to trade with the greatest consumer economy in the world. And in exchange for trading at the greatest consumer economy in the world, you have to treat us the way we're going to treat you. It's going to be the same, but no more inviting bad people to the party. So what the president spoke about with Mexico and Canada is we gave them the greatest invitation ever, right? You're our neighbor, you're our friend, trade for free with us. And what did they do? China came in, right? Steel done by India, aluminum done by Australia. You have Australian aluminum mines operating at 90%, and U.S. aluminum mines and aluminum production 50%. We're going out of business, and they're using Canada to come in. So the president is keenly aware, keenly focused on changing this model. We will be fair to each country, but no inviting any other country in.
And Kevin, could you say a few words, please?
Oh, sure, sir.
Kevin Hassel.
Yeah. One of the things that we noticed, sir, when you asked us to look into the numbers was that last year, U.S. companies paid foreign governments $370 billion in tax. And then we in the U.S. Asked them to pay us tax for what they did, and the U.S. gathered $57 billion. And so we paid them $370 billion, and they paid us $57 billion. And when people say, oh, you're doing this tariff thing, how could you do that? Why would you do that? It's so unfair. Let's think about this. They have 3/4 of world GDP. We have 1/4 of world GDP, and we're paying them $370 billion, and they're paying us $57 billion.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Thank you, sir.
Well, it's big numbers. Mr. Trade Rep, would you like to say something? Congratulations, by the way. I watched you 2 days ago on television, and you did fantastically.
Thank you, sir.
Congratulations.
Thank you. You make it easy for me, Mr. President. We have $1 trillion deficit coming out of the last administration. We can't have that anymore. We've had 60,000 factories lost during the period of globalization. All of these things have harmed our workers, they've harmed our farmers, they've harmed our families and our communities, and that stops right now. We're going to look at everything. We'll certainly look at the tariffs, but we're also going to look at subsidies. We're going to look at taxes that are discriminatory. We're going to look at fake antitrust regimes in other countries that try to regulate our companies, our competitive companies. We're going to look at all these things, and we're going to figure out exactly what we should be charging other countries.
Good, thank you. And it won't be complicated. It'll be very easy. Big numbers, too. All right. The biggest you've ever seen. Peter, go ahead, please.
Yes, sir. Tariffs are bad. Around the world, they're higher than we have, but tell you what, the non-monetary barriers that are imposed on us are even worse. And President Trump has been right to single out, for example, the VAT tax, the value-added tax. There's a reason why Germany sells 8 more cars to every one we sell them. And it's not American craftsmanship, it's not American design. It's simply the unfair trade practices. And that VAT is a killer. It's a hidden tariff. It's also, as Secretary Lutnick said, it's a hidden export subsidy. There's about a $20,000 differential between when we try to sell them a car and they sell us a car, and that's going to stop with this man.
Well, I want to say that actually tariffs are good. Tariffs are great, actually. And the problem is we didn't charge them and everyone else did. They charged us, but we didn't charge them because we were generous or foolish or stupid or all of the above. So this is one of the biggest I think, economic bills ever signed. I think it's probably the biggest in terms of what it represents. Now, this doesn't include what we did a few days ago with steel and aluminum. That's over and above this. Cars will be over and above this. Look at what's coming shortly. If you take a look at the chips and the various things in that world, that universe, that'll be over and above it. Also, pharmaceuticals will be over and above. So those elements will be over and above. Otherwise, this is covering pretty much everything. And it's going to be great for the United States and fair for the world. I mean, it's the most fair you can do. We could charge just a flat tariff, and that would be in many ways easier, but you could make a case that that wouldn't be fair to other countries. This is fair. Remember, whatever they charge, we charge. Whatever they charge us, we charge them. And they charge us nothing, we charge them nothing. And it really works out well. And we'd be very happy to have nothing and nothing. We wouldn't have any tariffs at all. But to me, it's something that I'm very proudly doing. It should have been done many, many years ago. And we're doing it now. We're doing it very late because we were very foolish, as a country, very foolish. And we're doing it now. Well, that's a good one.
Mr. President, you won the White House in part because of high inflation. If your tariffs make prices go up...
Excuse me, we haven't asked you to speak yet, please. Right?